We're up.
Why, look at that. We are live and in living color. Good morning,
Live,
Michael.
live
How
from
are
the
you?
Kodak. We're not live from the Kodak Theater, but very close to it. We're in the parking lot up on Highland.
Yeah, wouldn't be a bad idea to be there. As you are talking about the Oscars last night, that I'm sure that some of our audience, if not all of our audience, watched. We did give you a homework assignment to watch it and then report in on what you thought.
You know how
So,
people complain about when Biden comes to town? They say, "Oh, the freeways. What freeway?" Well, they didn't announce what freeway, so I don't know which one to complain about. But I'm complaining about the traffic. For a
I'm
week,
just
for a week
complaining.
before the Oscars, you can't get through Hollywood. You can't get off the Hollywood freeway at Highland to go down to any of the points that you need to get to because the Hollywood freeway exits so close to the hills that there's no way to get to Santa Monica Boulevard, Wilshire Boulevard, Highland Boulevard. And for a week before the Oscars, all that area is closed off and they're unloading this and they're setting up carpets and they're putting up giant statues and they're bringing in new lights and camera positions, and they have to have shut down everything for the catering trucks and shut down everything for the limousines. Nobody ever complains about that. It's part of the big town.
It's part of living there.
It
It's
is
like
part of
the
living there.
people complain. Well, all right. People always complain about when the General Assembly opens in the United Nations.
All these
There's always
foreigners.
complaints in New York about the traffic, and they're blocking off the Grand Central Parkway, so this one and that one and the other one can get to Manhattan and to their embassies and to the United Nations, and people complain. But by and large, I think if you took a vote, I don't think people now again it may have changed. I haven't been there for a long time. It may have changed, but I don't think anybody would want to lose the United Nations. Would want them to move somewhere else. I mean, I guess they fought together.
They'd like them to get together and actually do something, have a meeting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to block the traffic off if you're going to fix something.
Right.
But if you can't fix anything, let me get to work, which is a mantra of I think most cities, not just New York. But it was
in honor of great awards. I'm wearing my Dick's T-shirt, serving burgers since 1954.
There you go. I'm wearing my my Beatles T-shirt because they've been serving music since 1957
or 62.
Well, yeah, I guess 62 if you get, but if you go back to their roots, and I ran across something on YouTube this weekend, a tape of the best Beatles, might have even been the Stu Sutcliffe Beatles, at some club in Germany. So who knows? But I'm happy that they decided to serve up music. I'm happy that we got served up the Oscars last night. I'm always at a disadvantage because I only saw two of the movies.
Which two? You saw Barbie?
I saw Barbie, of course, and I saw the Paul Giamatti movie, the Holdovers, which I actually thought was pretty good. I thought it was a solid movie. He did a great job.
The Academy agrees with you. He was nominated as well as Golden Globes and SAG Awards and everything.
Yeah, no, he's one of our American treasures.
He's an everyman type of character. He's not.
Yeah, he's just one of those. He's that Tom Hanks kind of guy, except not as good looking as Tom Hanks.
Correct.
But he's equally able to take on and make believable just about any role that he decides to play. And of course,
the movie that I think I want to see is the Emma Stone movie, Many Things.
Yeah, there were definitely movies that after watching the awards ceremonies last night made me want to go see them. I understand why they put those movies in the theater the week after the Oscars, 2 weeks after the Oscars, because it definitely piques your interest to see them.
All the renewed interest in seeing those films. And I thought Jimmy Kimmel did a pretty good job. It's a thankless job because you have to do the basics. You have to be funny. You have to be extraordinary. You have to be quick. You have to be able to improvise, and then at the same time you have to be able to just read the card.
Right, and you have to be able to not offend too deeply many people.
Did you hear his line about Donald Trump? Aren't you up past your jail time?
Yes, yeah. Now, was the text that he was reading? I didn't look. I've been running around this morning, and I didn't get a chance to look. Was the text that he was reading actually sent by Donald Trump?
I believe so.
Well, that's comedy gold right there. I
He
mean,
just said, "Watch the text. I have 6 comebacks all written out. Well, one of them is going to work."
yeah. Yeah, I don't even, I'll be honest with you. I don't even know if he had a comeback written out for that. I mean, I think Kimmel, I watch Kimmel pretty regularly, and I think he's gifted enough that he could come up with something like that on the fly.
I know Billie Eilish is fashionable and very popular, but her song next to Ken's song paled in comparison. I thought "I'm Just Ken" was a far better song than What Am I Here For?
Well, he certainly put a lot more energy into it.
Hell of a lot. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
Billie is only singing for the one person who can't hear her down the hall.
Yeah, the present. Yeah, I mean, I listen. I like Billie Eilish too. I think she's an incredibly talented. I love the fact that she works with her brother. I mean, there's so much to like there. But it does kind of run in that Lilith kind of vein of singer songwriters that
They used to have a thing in England
deserve.
called the shoegaze category.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a guy singing with one out-of-tune guitar looking at his shoes.
Exactly.
And he's not even looking at him. He's got his eyes closed. And Billie Eilish closes her eyes. And I know Reba McEntire on The Voice would tell her, "Open your eyes and try to connect with the audience for once in your life, you precious little shit."
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if she'd tell her that or not, but I'll tell you what. Ryan Gosling continues to impress as well.
Hell of a song last night.
Yeah, he's. I mean, I haven't seen many things that he's been in. I haven't seen all of his work, but I haven't seen many things that he's been in that I haven't liked, or really dug his part. He brought that part to life in a unique way. That's what I think he has going for him. Is he has that gift of being able to read a part and bring that person to life, unlike anybody else that you would see doing it.
The ensemble acting nod has to go to Oppenheimer, with Cillian Murphy and the entire cast getting a nod. By the way, Cillian Murphy looks 14 when he's not out of makeup, and he looks like a middle-aged scientist when he's in the movie. So kudos to the makeup department.
He looks like I was sitting there last night watching him, and I was thinking to myself, if they do the Ted Cassidy story. For those who may not know, Ted Cassidy is the actor who played Lurch on the Adam.
Used to see you in Trader Joe's here all the time.
Yeah, yeah. He you can you can pretty much pencil him in for the part.
And you can always find out which one he is. Can you find Sean Kemp in this store? It won't take long. Can you find Ted Cassidy in this store? Yes.
Yeah. Well, you can. I mean, he just has his facial resemblance is really good. I mean, there's a real resemblance there. But I just looked as he was sitting up. He had that kind of look to him. I don't know why that came to my mind as I was watching him, but many weird things come to my mind. Now, did you quietly watch the Oscars at home?
Yes.
Yeah, I did too. My lovely daughter came over and I cooked dinner, and we had
What did you guys have for dinner?
We had what did we have for dinner? We had raviolis with garlic and butter steamed clams.
Oh, quite a feast.
and some honkin' big Costco shrimp as an appetizer.
Is that the technical name, honkin' big?
Honkin' big Costco shrimp. Yeah, I mean
They're in season when they start honking out in the bay.
that's the best deal in food. I think the Costco shrimp dish is for my money the best deal in food. I mean the chicken is good, but to get 30 to 40 um, quality
Dead,
shrimp,
dead shrimp in one place.
yeah, to get a quality package of shrimp like that, it's not easy. And yet, and with the cocktail sauce and lemons included, also you can have a picnic with it. Although I like my Trader Joe's cocktail sauce.
Aha.
It has a tanginess to it. So, little Trader Joe's, some shrimp, some clams, some raviolis,
Got butter and garlic swimming around in there.
butter and garlic moving around the pot. It was and best of all to sit there and watch it with my daughter, which we don't usually do. So it was a cool thing to
Had she seen any of the movies, being
yeah,
younger and
she
more
saw
vibrant?
yeah, I think she saw 4 or 5 of them. Yeah, she definitely she's much more well, she's downtown, so for her to go to the movies, it's a walk.
Right.
Where to me, it's get in the car and go over to the mall and find a parking space and everything. Sometimes it can be, but then again, I'm just I notice as my old age moves along here, I'm turning into to
Okay.
more of a
Have you asked anybody to get off your lawn this morning?
no, I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm definitely one of those people who say, "Gee, maybe I should just stay home and watch it on TV instead of going to the theater," which I don't particularly like.
I much prefer controlling my environment on the couch than I do trying to survive the environment in the theater.
Yeah, but it's such a difference in movies when you watch them on that big screen. I mean that and that really was driven home to me watching The Godfather and Godfather 2 and Godfather 3. If you remember a few years ago, they re-released all three of those movies into the movie theaters, and which was a good place to release them to. And it had been a long, long time since I had seen it on the big screen. But you know what you see, I mean, when you watch the movie on the big screen, you see it as the director
Yeah, the
thought.
pageantry.
You see every little detail that I'm sure that Francis Ford Coppola so tried to put into every scene. And when you watch it on TV, you watch it on DVD, you lose a lot of that. Even in today's with today's big screen, Dragunda 96-inch uh, TVs, you still lose a lot of that. So to see it in the movies, I
And
think,
sooner or later, somebody's got to say, "Sorry, Sally, can't do it."
yeah. I mean, the dialogue's going to be the same, but you don't see the other two guys standing by the rear bumper of the car,
Looking at
which
their
Coppola
fingernails.
probably
Yeah,
put in there to make you realize
right. They're
that
going. They're going somewhere.
the gravity of the moment, as he might say, the a gravity of the moment scene. Um, Al Pacino,
He was there. He didn't know his
yeah,
lines, but he was there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I love Al, but are we getting to the point where we keep trusting? I mean, what was the what was the greater good here? Al Pacino come out and read the Best Picture on the 50th anniversary of The
And screw it up.
Godfather.
Instead of just saying the name, he says, "I see Oppenheimer."
Yeah. Well, not only that, he never read the
The
nominees
nominees,
are.
right?
You suppose that's how those people get their due in many ways, is they get mentioned in that roll call of the nominees are Barbie, Papa, Oppenheimer, boom, 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 and they go through that list of movies. And it's like that final note, that final roll call of the best of the year. I think there's a gravity to that moment,
which he screwed up totally.
which he just absolutely screwed up. So I think what I think they should have done, who knows if they tried this and maybe one of them didn't want to do it. I think it would have been better to have him and De Niro.
Well,
Even though De Niro was not
the way they did all the other actors categories, they had previous winners come out and introduce and say a word about it, which was a really nice touch.
Yeah, I really thought that was I thought that was good. And anytime you march Sally Field out, I'm watching. You know, I mean, that's just an incredibly beautiful and talented woman. You know, I'm just such a big fan of hers.
She's done a lot.
She's yeah. I mean, she's you know, we all grew up with her, man.
She's the Mary Lou Retton of film.
Yeah, we all grew up with her. We all saw her. You know, if you're of our age, you grew up with her and remember her as Gidget and the Flying Nun.
She used to be able to fly. She really could fly. A lot of people don't believe that, but it's absolutely true. Just like
That's
George
how she
Reeves
got
could
the
fly.
part.
She could fly. Many other girls couldn't.
Well,
and then Funicello was up for that part, but she couldn't fly.
Yeah, Glynis Johns showed up for it in auditions, and I think Inger Stevens showed up in an audition for it. But you know, Sally showed up, and she opened up a window and said, "Watch this." Out the window like George Reeves.
And they closed the traffic on Highland Boulevard until she got back, which you would have done anyway,
said, hey,
just to be on the safe side.
This is who we got to get the part. You know, this is who we got to get to do the part. She saves us how much money in wire and string and helicopters and everything else we got to do. She can just fly.
I remember back at KFWB in 1998 or 99, I covered the Oscars, and it was downtown at the Forum. The city of Los Angeles had an economist that worked on show business stories, and he could calculate the financial footprint of an event like the Oscars, or the financial footprint of what it was like to have the entertainment industry centered in Los Angeles. What did it mean for rentals and craft services and set design and construction of the set and paying the artists and gown rentals and jewelry rentals and car rentals and drivers and all the things that went in to support that. And it was millions and millions of dollars, $27 million in 1998 for just that one night in citywide spending, county spending. And now, of course, it has to be into the billions for one night.
Yeah, it's a hugely you know, it puts a lot of people to work. It puts a lot of people to you know, we always think in terms of the stars, but how many, and you know, and Jimmy Kimmel brought this point out. I'm glad that they did a tribute to.
They brought out the cast. They brought out the crew, right?
Yeah, they brought out the crew. They brought out people that work on these movies because you know we all get enamored of the stars, but we forget about how many people it takes to make that happen.
Somebody made the card and put it into the teleprompter that the actor is too untalented to read.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hope that they look at that. And listen, I'm a big Al Pacino fan. I mean, I love the guy.
How the hell did he memorize the lines for Hamlet if he can't say then the nominees are?
Well, you know, every interview I've ever seen with Pacino, he just isn't somebody that you want to trust to ad-lib anything or to
if you're going to San Luis Obispo, you don't want him driving.
Yeah. Especially if you're stopping off at Solvang or one of those small towns, you're going to go left and go into the interior a bit and go to Twisselman or something like that. You know, you definitely don't want him behind the wheel. I don't know if I want him behind the wheel in anything. I mean, he just and it's not his age because I've seen him do this on several interviews and shows. I mean, when he was on Letterman, I used to go on Letterman every once in a while, excuse me, and he was the same way. He's just his space
His disheveled space.
is different than everybody else's. And he has reached a station in life that he can do that. He's such a good person at what he does that he basically can do that. But it did a disservice, I think, to a lot of hardworking people last night.
And if you ask him, Al, what the hell is wrong with you? I told you never ask me about my business.
Yeah. I think that's when you you make the moment about you as opposed to about the people. And listen, it wasn't that he sloughed one line, but he blew the whole thing.
Right.
And I just thought it was sad, and that there had to be it would have been better to honor him just by having him walk out, or again put him with somebody. Put him with, and I know that they probably don't want to put him with De Niro because De Niro is really not associated with Godfather 1, which is what they were celebrating. Well, no, actually, it would be Godfather 2 because that was released in 1974. So you could have had justification. And plus, De Niro and Pacino, did they both win Best Actor or was one Best Supporting Actor? I know De Niro won Best Actor, but did Pacino win Best Supporting that year, or did he win Best? I forget now. But, the point of the story is when you have a talent like that,
train him, rehearse him.
Yeah,
make sure he knows what the hell he's expected to do.
If you're going to put him in that huge of a position, and that's your closing number, man. I mean, he forgot the words to the closing song.
We're going to sing In the Midnight Hour. I know that one. Do you? No.
Yeah, well, I'm going to wait till the midnight hour until the bus of my bow.
And the nominees are?
Yeah, he just...
Anyway, Ryan Gosling can sing In the Midnight Hour. Billie Eilish cannot.
Yeah, I thought it was I thought it was a good show. It's one of those things that is, 3 hours of mind candy.
Yep.
You don't really have to, and that's the great thing about shows like that, award shows and tributes and things like that, roasts, stuff like that, is that it takes your mind away from everything that you're thinking about for a few hours. It takes your mind away, except that as much as you didn't want it to happen, so you knew that Slapdick's name was going to come up somewhere, and he even interjected it into the Oscars. So, it's interesting. You were talking about the company town aspect of movies, and the Oscars being held at. Do you ever think, and you're much more familiar with the entertainment business than I am, do you think there'll ever be a day when they move the Oscars, or they do it in Atlanta, where there's so much movie making business going on?
No, you must approach the mother church.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
And it's easier, despite everything that might be going on in Calgary or Vancouver or Atlanta or any other production center where they can do things cheaper for series television, especially in feature films. When it comes time to do your sound, your post-production, your editing, your marketing, they always come to Hollywood because it's so damn easy. Everything in the world that you need to do to make film, to make television, to cast film, to make an exciting project can be done right here without ever leaving the town. you never have to get on a plane.
Yeah.
You may have to learn how to take Fountain to beat the traffic, but that's okay. It's a cross route. Cross route. Remember when they asked Elizabeth Taylor what was the secret to Hollywood? And she said, "Take Fountain." It's a Hollywood joke, but it's true. Fountain is the best way for cross Hollywood traffic.
Oh man. Well, that stands to reason. I mean, I just was thinking about it because the Grammys, obviously they've moved around a number of times.
By the way, the Grammy show this last time was excellent. I don't know if you saw them, but the
I
production
did not see it this year. I forget what I was doing. I was doing something. There was something going on, but I did not see the Grammys this year.
Good show.
And one of the rare years that I missed it.
And I think the Oscars should kick this idea of having the past winners come out and introduce this year's nominees for Best Actors, Best Supporting Actors. It shows a great spectrum of people who have worked in the past, and in some cases are still working. And it shows the older actors and actresses, and you get to remember their great work in those plays that don't seem that long ago, that have affected the work of the nominees.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, I
also
just
see
thought
that
such a
if you're making an important movie, you have to get a British cast. Why? Well, because many actors in America are just models who happen to know their lines. They don't have the training or the background or the natural gift that's required. And Cillian Murphy I use as an example.
Yeah, that's well, I wouldn't say that all of them, but yeah, there seems to be a discipline among the British actors that you don't see. And I don't know whether it's because you study in different places or
I think that's the basis for it.
It's less of a what am I looking for? There's less glitz and glamour around being an actor, I think, in England than there is here in the United States.
And in America, you don't have to study to be an actor; it just happens.
Yeah, they take anybody off the street, and matter of fact, they did that with Nomad a couple of years ago. Most of the people that were the cast of that film were actual nomads.
Oh, I remember that.
And they were and I saw an interview with the writer of the book, who said that they were amazed at how these people took to doing their parts in this movie. And
they had the gift, whether they knew it or not.
Yeah, it gave them a sense of authenticity to that movie that they probably would have never have gotten if they had, a bunch of actors doing it on a backlot somewhere. It really gave them, people that knew the life, knew that whole process of going to different towns and working different jobs and so on and so forth. And it was an experience for them as they created the movie to have these people, in these roles, because it just gave the movie a sense of reality that
they wouldn't have had otherwise.
Might not have gotten with scripted actors. Not that they weren't scripted, but with a bunch of people coming out from Hollywood or wherever and doing that movie. And I think with British actors, it's a little bit. I don't know. It always has seemed to me that there's a much more of a seriousness about the craft.
I think you're right.
And less attention to celebrity. They're celebrity. They're people of note, of course, but celebrity is different, I think, there. I don't know, than it is here.
And if you're the wife of the Prince of Wales, you have to say why you were in the hospital. I don't care what the palace has come up with, that these answers are not sufficient any longer.
Yeah. I haven't followed that story as closely as I probably should have. But yeah, they have they. If you're going to be on the public payroll like that, don't you
On the
owe it to the
dole.
public
You're on the
to?
dole just like UB40.
Yeah, you don't get. Yeah, you don't get to. You don't get to be private about it. But on the
We
other
know
hand,
every snit between William and Harry. But we don't know what's wrong with his wife.
we should know what's. Well, I guess, Michael. I boy, I could go back and as I was saying it, I was thinking about it, and yeah, I guess in one sense, yes, you should know. But there's also a piece of me that says that shouldn't don't they have some kind of entitlement to privacy? To
An expectation of privacy.
that they should. I mean, if that they should be able to suffer their whatever they're going through, or not suffer whatever they're doing, uh, and not have to tell everybody, especially in an environment over there where everything, every little piece of media news is ripped apart and analyzed, and whether it's true or not, there's a much looser standard over there. We're getting there, though. They've been doing this, three experts thing, 4 box with the three experts and the presenter for a lot longer than we have. And I just wonder if even if you have an office that's that high, are you required to let people know so that your whole life is getting ripped apart?
Of course, they have a way of making you sorry if you don't tell them.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a different. Although, again, as I say, I think the gap is closing.
Remember, anytime someone says, "With all due respect, Your Highness," it's coming. Gird your loins.
When Biden said that on Thursday night when he was looking at the Supreme Court, I said, "Whoa, here it comes! Something's happening. Somebody's going to get called out."
I told you to be home by midnight, and where were you?
Well, with all due respect, Mom. Yeah, that phrase, that and the always present. Let me ask you a question. Whenever you say to somebody, "Let me ask you a question,"
That
and you're
is
an
a question.
interviewer,
Yeah,
first of all, that's what you're there for. So it's
correct.
not that they're letting you ask a question. I mean, you asked the question.
Just ask the question.
Yeah, if they don't want to answer it, then they tell
And
you to
it's
go screw yourself.
and also what my news director at KWB, Chris Quimby, used to call the Wally Ballou. Now here's New York Vinnie in New York, and you say, "Hi, I'm New York Vinnie in New York." That's Wally Ballou.
Wally Ballou is
That's what Bob and Ray used to do for a laugh, and you don't
yeah,
even know it's funny.
yeah, the great Bob and Ray, yeah, and their character. Um,
And Wally Ballou never got anything right. Wally Ballou was so calm and collected and professional and present and such an idiot. He never his reports were always pathetic and wonderful and funny.
they were hilarious. I hope that
Wally Ballou.
I know that's great. I hope that at some point in time here that people go back and look at the work of Bob and Ray, that becomes and it will, because everything
Comes around.
comes around. So we know that we're gonna see.
Remember the Slow Talker Association?
Yeah,
Well, I too remember the slow talkers.
I also. But you can't be a slow talker and survive in New York. if you're a slow talker, you got to go to New Jersey or to Pennsylvania or to
Pennsylvania.
Ohio. Ohio's really a good place. There's a lot of slow talkers in Ohio.
And there's a lot of people in Alabama that should be slowing down. Tommy Tuberville, slow down.
Yeah, it's they don't have the most stellar of senators in Alabama.
As they say during football season, there's too much Bama in them, and that's the case with Marjorie Taylor Doymus. Wherever she is, whatever she's doing, there's too much of it in her.
Well, yeah, she's from Georgia, but yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, is it really any different?
Is that a different state? I thought.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not a hell of a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Once you get across that the WWF belt of states.
Once you cross out the Florida Panhandle, you're in another state, the name of which is not always clear. It could be Alabama, it might be Georgia.
Another
could
planet,
be Arkansas.
really, when you think about it. I mean, it's just not. Or is it? Or is it, Michael? Is that really America? And where we live on the coast, where we were brought up on the coast, is not America. You know, I'm not so naive or so self-centered to believe that we have it now that we have it right. I mean, in my mind, we have it right. But the older I get and the more I see people and the more I look at some of these places, I wonder if we're the exception and they're much more what America really is about.
Well, first of all, the people of New York City and the people of Los Angeles don't give a damn what anybody in Alabama thinks or does or cares about. We go about our life and we have an element and a gift of freedom that doesn't exist in other states. Whereas in the control freak states of Alabama, Georgia, Arkansas, there's a lot of people telling you what to do. The cops tell you what to do. The governor tells you what to do. The preacher tells you what to do. The vicar, especially the murdering swine of their churches, tells you what to do and who you can be and what you're supposed to be like, what you can say, what you can believe, what you hate, and what you cannot abide. And if you're not in, they'll make sure you're out.
Yeah.
Where in California, no one gives a damn where you're from or what you're about. Not to the point where we disregard who you are, but we don't care what your driving needs happen to be. There's plenty of people like you around here. That's fine. Next case.
Right. Yeah, I realize that. But what I'm saying, my point
Which one's
is
normal?
Which one is America? Which one is and you know when Biden, President Biden talked about that we've never realized the dream of what America is supposed to be, and I thought that was very insightful because he is right. Doesn't mean we stop trying, but I think he is right. We have, you know, I mean, because if you look at things like the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence, they're all different from what the reality of life is in many places.
And whose fault is that?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is the reality what the people in that Bible belt there, that belt of states and stretching now up into places like Ohio and Nebraska and North and South Dakota, is that America? And are we the outsiders?
If you're an 18-year-old kid in Kyiv,
America, they're the outsiders.
If you're an 18-year-old kid in Kyiv and you want to come to America, where do you want to go? Huntsville, Alabama?
Well, I think you probably want to go anywhere that you can get at one point. But once you're here a couple of years and you realize what's going on, because I think the people outside of America, it's all the same. I don't know that people outside of America distinguish so much.
I don't think that they believe that.
Alabama and this and that. Once they get here and they realize what's going on, then they probably could make different choices. But I think if you're looking to get out of Hungary or any of those countries, you're just looking to get to America. You don't. They could plop you down in Paris, Texas. You don't care. So, but
you will before the sun goes down.
yeah, you definitely will. Yeah, you do. I'm just saying that the perception again. I think as you look at it from their point of view, from the outside, is it's one whole big place.
That opportunity, acceptance, rules, laws, prejudices are not the same, and they are extraordinarily evident in certain places where you are not welcome. We do care that you're not from here, and you're not going to be welcome here. We don't want you here.
Yeah, but I don't know that you find that out unless you have maybe family that came over here before, or somebody that you're talking to over here that has a good read of the situation. I think when you're trying to get out of one of those places, you're happy to get plopped down anywhere in America. I mean, if all the people that are scurrying across the border had their choice, do you think they'd go to Texas? They go because it's the first place they can get to, I think.
And why is the Texas border so odd and the California border is so normal?
Well, I don't know that the California border is normal too. I mean, I always see Gavin Newsom screaming that they're having just as much trouble in
I haven't heard of Gavin Newsom.
Newsom, yes. What a maroon. Oh my God. President Maroon. But I don't know. Is it because of the river? I mean, most of California just butts up against.
We don't have a river. Just walk across the desert and you're there.
Yeah,
walk across the San Diego border and you're there. San Isidro.
Whereas in Texas, you have to come across the river.
And the concertina wire.
And yes, and all the wonderful wire that we've put up to greet you. I I was just thinking, it just played in my head like a movie. What we were seeing, what was it, last week maybe, or maybe the week before, but when Trump and Biden went down to the border.
And the devil went down to Georgia.
And Trump is, and Trump is standing there, and they're waving at him or screaming at him from the other side of the border, and he's turning and he says, "Oh, look, they love Trump."
Yep. Who knew? I would have come earlier if I'd known.
Always be careful of people that speak about themselves in the third person.
Encourage them to do it because it's a very silly thing to do, but be wary of them.
If you're Ricky Henderson, encourage him to do it. If you're Reggie Jackson, encourage him to do it. If you're the president of the United States, if you're a former president, an ex-president, something like that, maybe not so much.
Or if you're Al Pacino. What happened last night? Well, Al Pacino didn't get it right. Al Pacino didn't know that I was supposed to mention the nominees first. Why not? Well, Al Pacino wasn't watching the teleprompter, and Al Pacino didn't direct. So, we didn't rehearse the bit. I needed more rehearsal time.
Did they mention that to him? Do you think? Do you think that somebody at some point calls him up and says, "Hey, Al, not for nothing"?
But you messed that up. You messed that up 20 ways from Sunday.
Yeah, you better you got to figure something out there, pal. Because that was not the Al Pacino that you want to leave people with the impression of.
My eyes see Oppenheimer. What? That's your line?
Yeah, you could hear the you could hear the groans in the crowd when he said that. I mean, everybody in the place knew that Oppenheimer was going to win, but it still didn't feel. It just there was no. I mean, the whole gravity of that thing is to build up some suspense, right? The whole reason that you, besides paying tribute to the people that made those other movies, is that you're trying to build up a sense of suspense of which one's it going to be. I'm not
And the
100%.
thing is,
Even though,
do not give Al Pacino the envelope. Have somebody else hold it. Have them hand it to him. Do not give him the damn envelope. He will
right?
open it whenever it feels like it.
Yeah. Again, I thought that was the biggest mistake of the show. It just and for the producers and the directors of the show to not see that coming. Again, if you follow Al Pacino's career at all, and have ever seen him do live television or interview television, he's in another place.
He's disheveled. Now the director must have said at some point, or the head producer, "How's Al tonight? What's Al like? What's he doing? Is he here? Did he show up? Yeah, he's here. We got him in makeup. He's a
Yeah,
little
what calendar we have
disconnected."
tonight?
Yeah.
But I guess he's so revered and so respected that nobody wants to say to him,
You're a bloody mess.
"You
Straighten up.
you screwed us up here."
You're going on in 5 minutes. Get your act together and
And
hurry up about
and
it.
and listen, give credit to Jimmy Kimmel. He didn't take him on it or anything. He just came out and closed the show.
Yeah, that's our
Uh,
show.
I guess, yeah. I guess the good part of it is he got him back on time.
We're caught up. We're caught up. We
Yeah,
made
listen,
time.
if one thing you can say about Al Pacino, he caught us right up. Let's have him back next year. Yeah, I just feel bad for the people that that's their final due of the night. That's their
Well,
reminder.
year after year, we are reminded that many of the actors that we know and the people who are working their way up and the people who have done a couple of films and the people who are well enough established in the industry to be a presenter cannot read a teleprompter, cannot read the lines that are right in front of them, did not rehearse, did not look at them, is completely amazed. They're looking at the camera and going, "Oh, it's me." Every year. Yes, it's you. That's why you're out there, you stupid cunt.
You know, uh, yeah,
Practice your lines and get it right. Take two.
yeah. Well, I think most. I mean, there's a lot of news people that are the same way that they can't read.
A headline or a tease.
Once the teleprompter goes off, or once they're handed a situation that calls for just complete and total ad lib, that they don't think on their feet. That's why a television news director, once told me, I try to hire people that have been in sports
Because they know
because
how
in
to tread
sports
water.
you have to think on your feet. You have to be able to walk up to somebody right after a live event and interview them and talk to them and work on the fly.
And
And
please don't ask him what was going through his head when he made the touchdown. Come
yeah,
up with something better than that.
well,
I hope they don't catch me, or else this won't be a touchdown. I hope they don't tackle me on the 20-yard line. I probably won't have scored by then.
what was the one I saw? Was it the guy who had the iron rod going through? That was on a construction site and got the iron rod through his head, or an arrow. I forget what it was, but
How
there
did that
was
make
one.
you feel?
No. They asked him what was going through your head when the
The steel
when
rod.
the arrow hit. Hello. Well, when you see that too,
Now
is you see
that
that.
would be a Wally. That's a Wally Ballou moment.
Yeah. You see that a lot if you watch YouTube. YouTube puts a lot of these smaller market
Local
news
TV.
stories on the air, and you really see sometimes people who just have no clue. Two things that we've lost in this country is the ability to speak English, and I should be the last one to talk about that, but we've lost that, and we've lost the people thinking on their feet and people copying what everybody else is doing. It's like there's one consultant for news, and they have all these stations, and all these stations do the same thing. I mean, how many times when a reporter goes out to a snowstorm do we see the reporter take some object and stick it in the snow or trample it with their feet? I mean, I saw a woman the other night doing snow angels, and I said, that's actually kind of cool. She's doing something different than every other reporter on every other station with snow is doing. So I
want a reporter in a hurricane to say, we're back at the motel. If you think I'm standing out in 90-mile-an-hour winds to show you how it's blowing, believe me, it's a hurricane. Trust me, it's blowing. Would it make you feel better if I was standing in it, losing my hat? No, we're not doing that.
Yeah. I mean,
we're back here watching Law and Order, okay?
Well, and now that you have remote cameras, why do you even need to? You can take your cell phone and program it to camera, set it down on a rock there, and go back to your hotel.
There's your shot, okay?
This is what it looks like out there.
And I want you to know this is Bernie's phone. I'm not putting my phone out in the hurricane.
Right. Bernie's the guy who spent the money for the waterproof case. So he is, there it is. There's all you need. Pretty amazing sometimes.
Hey, what did the flying A that's behind you, the gas station signs that you have behind you? You have a flying A sign there. What did the flying A stand for? What did the A stand for?
Well, I know that the company was the Tidewater Oil Company. So
Tidewater was in
is in Virginia, I believe.
Could be Arlington.
Near Roanoke. But that's an interesting question. I'm trying to think if I should know that, and my pituita is acting up this morning again. I hate autofill because when you put something in, it autofills it and goes to it. FL1A gas station. We're gonna find out here. The Flying A gasoline was sold by Associated Dealers of the Tidewater.
There you go,
Oil
Associated.
Company. So I guess it's yes, they formed the Associated Oil Company to transport oil out of their fields. The pipeline ended at the company's refinery in Martinez, California. And in a few years, Associated products were distributed all over the West Coast and Hawaii. And then in 1936, they merged with Tidewater Oil to form the Tidewater Associated Oil Company, a nationwide firm. And in 1966, that's when they went under. They didn't go under. Phillips 66 bought the West Coast stations, and the East Coast stations became Getty. And I remember when that happened, because my dad was actually talking to Flying A about, he had a gas station that he owned the contract to what oil company it was. So he could switch if he wanted to at the end of the contract. So every time the contract was up, he would, talk to different oil companies, and they would, negotiate with him and bargain with him to get that location. And I remember when he had Astoria Boulevard, he wanted to go with Flying A because I think they were paying more money per gallon of gasoline that you sold. I think they were paying 2 cents, well, most of the other companies were paying like 1.50 cents.
And Vinnie's father was the answer to the question, where the hell does a New Yorker fill up in this town? There's no gas stations in Manhattan. Where the hell do you have to go to get gas?
Very, very few. There's less and less gas stations. I mean, I remember when there used to be a ton of them, because we almost bought 2 gas stations in Manhattan, 3 actually. We were in negotiation. My father really wanted to be in Little Italy, and it was a gas station, a Texaco station on the corner of Elizabeth and Houston, and he wanted that gas station. I mean, he tried to buy it several times. He wanted to be in Manhattan and wanted to be there. So we had that one. Then there was one on Third in the Bowery that we were looking at Gulf Station.
CBGBs.
Yeah, it was right down the block. The Gulf Station there. And there was also another one that we looked at on 11th Avenue, right across the street from where is now the Javits Convention Center. And actually, it's funny because it is the station that the Billy Joel video, Uptown Girl, was filmed in. There was also another, a Naked City was filmed in that gas station as well. So it had some film cred, and the station is actually still there.
Wow, still operating.
Yeah, we looked at that. Actually, that was one that we looked at buying together. A long, complicated story, but we wanted to have some presence in Manhattan when we got tow trucks, because they were going to slice it all up into zones. And if you wanted to tow cars in Manhattan, respond to acts in Manhattan, you had to have a Manhattan address.
I see.
So we started looking at properties in places in Manhattan that we could wind up either buying or leasing, negotiating for. So, but anyway, Flying A. There used to be 2 Flying A stations that I remember. There was one on right across the street from my dad on Northern Boulevard, and it was right on Northern between 71st and 70th, and there was a Gulf station and a Flying A station basically on the same block. And my father knew the guy. There was an old guy named Bill that owned that whole block and ran the Gulf station. His son owned the Flying A station. And I remember Bill from when I was a little kid, and he ran the Gulf. And then Flying A was on the other side. And then there was right across the street from the Gulf station, there was another Gulf station.
You got your Gulf, or you got your Gulf.
Yeah, they used to stack them up on Northern Boulevard. But yeah, now in Manhattan, I'm trying to think. There's the Hess gas station. It's on 11th Avenue in the 50s, where all the cab drivers used to go. That's still going. There's 96 in the FDR Drive. There's a gas station, a Shell station. There's York Avenue and 61st, right off the FDR Drive. And there's 11th Avenue in the 30s, that station that we were looking at. And that's still there.
Now, they named a famous East Side freeway after Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Do you think they'll name anything after Marjorie Taylor Greene? A graveyard, a frontage road, a cul-de-sac, anything?
I'm not sure they'll. No, I don't think they'll name anything after Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Maybe a rendering.
A rendering plant.
Yeah.
No, this woman's an I mean, listen, we talk about her all the time. She's an embarrassment. She's an embarrassment to this country. She's an embarrassment to herself, to her family. But they don't see it like that. They think that she's what America is all about. She's what America is turning into. And if she's what America is turning into, I'm just going to say that we're in trouble.
Arrivederci Roma.
Well, you have her, and then you have that senator from Alabama that did the rebuttal the other night. And I don't know who put that together. See, the problem is now you have people that produce YouTube videos producing major events. So, you don't have the Franklin Hellers out there anymore. You don't have the great television directors out there anymore that knew how to direct live television. Some of the greatest directors in the world were the people that directed game shows because they knew how to direct moving action.
Capture the action.
They knew how to direct a show that was that you didn't know what was going to happen next and make it look professional. Now you don't have that so much. News is a formula. Everybody does what the other guy does. So you have so many people who are just basically out there doing YouTube videos and slapping them on television.
Well, the sincerity of Senator, what's her name, Britt?
Yeah.
She's become a sideshow. She is a punchline.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, everybody has lit her up. I don't. Again, who was the
Saturday Night Live?
Oh yeah. Who was the person that was responsible for her doing the rebuttal to the State of the Union? I mean, it made no sense.
Not a wise choice.
No, she definitely was not up to the moment.
And it was written as if a cheerleader was giving a State of the Union address.
Right. Of so many people who have rebutted the president from the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, I don't remember anybody looking that
preposterous.
I don't know, just phony. It just looked phony. And it sent a message. And the message was, if you're a woman, you belong in the kitchen.
And do not stray.
And do not come out of the kitchen. We don't want you out of the kitchen. The Bible says that you ought to stay in that kitchen.
The Bible says you can't go to the living room without your husband's permission. Don't even walk through.
Well, it sure seems like what they want to do. Yeah, it was whoever was responsible for that should be kicked out of the party. Should be kicked out of never let near a television set again. They should be sentenced to listening to radio for the rest of their lives.
That's pretty grim, Vinnie.
It is. It is, Mikey. All right. Well, that's some of the observations from the weekend.
That's your Monday. That's your morose Monday.
Yeah. Again, we. I think what my goal. What's your goal? You have a goal for the week, Michael? Is there something that you got to get done this week?
I'm going to reinstitute my power walking regimen because the weather has turned. Yesterday it was 70 degrees. You don't know what a difference that makes to me.
Oh yeah,
Warm the damn bones.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
Also, I
supposed.
found that my grandson, Bo Musha, went out for T-ball and had the most power and the most team speed. The kid can hit.
There you go.
I'm absolutely charmed by it. And my granddaughter, Kennedy Musha, is in 2 plays. She's Tiger Lily and Peter Pan, Agga Wagga Wigwam, and also in Lion King. She plays 2 different parts, including a hyena that is a sarcastic hyena.
It really is amazing.
Extraordinary talent.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the boys, how when we see that they can hit a baseball or catch a baseball or throw a baseball, how warm inside it makes us feel. It's really interesting to it's I don't know I don't know what the primal connection is, but there's something
Genetics.
about seeing that and experiencing that when you're a guy that is almost equivalent to mom when she first picks up the baby after it's born and they look and they have that first bonding look at each other. We get that out of the first time the kid gets in there and hits a ball off a tee. It's like, yes.
Well, we had T-ball at home, so I knew he could hit, but I didn't know
Yeah.
how it would compare with their other kids his age.
Yeah. Well, if they're good, it's I mean, but whether they're good or not, just that primal action of hitting the ball off of the tee just makes you feel now my daughter did it, and then my godson Daniel
Playing in Second Tomatoes.
in Sacramento did it, and there was just something primal about that. It was just something to watch him hit that ball off of the tee. Or the first time he was here, and I took him down to the park, and we just played catch in the park. The first time I started teaching him about baseball. It was, it was really, I don't know, there was just something about it that,
And isn't it funny how playing catch is so natural, but for a kid that's 4 years old, catching a ball is not easy,
yeah,
especially because 4-year-old mitts usually can't catch anything. They're nice mitts. They look great, but they have no flexibility or gripping power
yeah.
whatsoever.
You got to oil that mitt up, man.
And what did you use to oil your mitt?
I started with shaving cream and moved on to Glovoleum.
My father always swore by Neat's foot oil.
Yes, we were talking about this one day. As a matter of fact, I found it online.
The tiny feet of the Neats squeezed into oil.
I wanted desperately to try motor oil because we just had so much of it around.
There was plenty of it.
I mean, let's face it. There was motor oil everywhere we looked. We had motor oil down in the basement.
So the guy grounds out at first base. The ball goes around the infield. It comes back to the pitcher, and he says, "What the hell is this, Vinnie?
Exactly.
What are you doing over here?"
Well, it depends on what you. It depends on what you do it with, either 30 weight or 40 weight, or the the multi-grade. But Mikey,
Or would synthetic oil do?
I'm ready. I'm ready for baseball season. And I don't know if you can see that.
I can. What model mitt is it?
That is a Tom Seaver.
I thought Tug McGraw. I was going to get.
I have looked for a Tug McGraw even when I was a kid, and I never saw a Tug McGraw mitt. I wanted one in the worst way, but I just never saw one. It was always, I mean, I had a number of baseball gloves dating back to, I think my first one was an Andy Pafko.
Holy moly! There's a name from the past.
Yeah, I think that was my first glove, and I had an Elroy face at one point.
I think I had a Joe DiMaggio. Trying to
Um,
remember.
who else did I mean, I had some pretty, but I remember the first the Andy Pafko I got. Um, was a hand me down from somebody, and I just thought that was the coolest
Hand-me-downs are
thing.
good because you don't have to break them in.
Right, right. Trying to think of who else. Did I have a Joe Pepitone? No, I didn't have a Joe Pepitone. A friend of mine had a Joe Pepitone. I wouldn't wear a Yankees glove. I always searched out a Mets glove.
Of course.
Um, I did have a Reggie Jackson at one point. Um, and I have a who are my catcher's mitts? I still have a bag full of gloves. Um, in my storage stuff in Pittsburgh. I have probably I still have I have a catcher's mitt, couple of catcher's.
Everybody wears a glove except the catcher. He wears a mitt.
Yeah, I have a catcher's mitt. Um, a couple of them. I'm trying to think of who I have, which catcher's mitt I have. And I can't think of it off the top of my head. I also have
West Westrom.
no, it wasn't a West Western. Maybe it was boy. I want to think that I might have had a John Roseboro at one point.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I can't remember exactly who I had. But when I get that stuff out here next month, I'm going to go through that. That's like one of the first things. Matter of fact, I may not even trust that to the shipping company. I may actually take that bag with me in the car. Because I've got, I mean, I got a bunch of gloves in there that I don't know what the value of baseball gloves are now. I don't know if people collect them, they don't collect them, what the story is.
I don't even know what a good glove, brand new from the sports store, would cost you.
Oh, I think if you go to like a big five or something like that, you're probably in it for $300.
Wow.
Yeah, I would have to think. I would have to think $300. Um, maybe
That and
there
the
are some.
cleats, you can't afford to play baseball.
Yeah, I mean it's expensive. It is expensive. That's why. And I'm surprised more major league clubs don't do this, but I would always advocate for a glove exchange, for people to bring their old baseball gloves in and for major league clubs to distribute them to little leagues and stuff like that, people that can't afford uh, to play baseball. And it's perplexing to say the words, a kid can't afford to play baseball. Because all you really needed was a glove and to show up.
Yep.
When we were coming up, and you really didn't even need a glove because you could borrow somebody's glove.
Leave your glove in the outfield when you're finished.
Yeah. Or you just, you'd always see that exchange of gloves as guys were running in, they flipped the glove to the guy who was running out. And so, even to play a game, you only needed 9 gloves for 18 people. Or if you were playing softball, 20 people.
Or 16, no hit in the right field.
Yeah, yeah. Or you're the official pitcher. There was always there was always something going on. All right, Mikey. Well, what do you say we
Let's
meet up?
convene for Wacky Wednesday.
Yeah, let's meet up on Wednesday and do this all over again, but backwards.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, we could do like a Paul is dead celebration, and we'll
And then
just
in
play
our
the whole
backwards
show.
world, Al Pacino's going to get everything right this time.
Going to get all the pictures in, all the movies in, all the lines right. He's not going to blow it before he opens up the envelope and take away the mystery of anticipation. We had anticipation
Never give
stolen.
Al Pacino, never ever give Al Pacino the envelope. Just don't do it.
No, send
If he's going to
somebody out
open
there with them. I don't care if you got it, whoever you got to dig out of history to keep him on the straight and narrow. No,
so that's
as
the guy
much
who
as I
played
love,
Laertes.
yeah, as much as I love Al Pacino, I actually thought they were going to trot out Francis Ford Coppola.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought was coming, or at least maybe the cast of, like they would have had,
Connery.
Diane Keaton and
Right.
Al Pacino and De Niro and Talia Shire, had them come out and present the award, which I thought would have been cool, but I guess they didn't want to pay for 5 hotel rooms.
And the horse head started to go
And the
badly.
horse head, yeah, you have to have the horse. Yeah. All right, Mikey. I'll catch up with you Wednesday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise. Thank you all for listening. We always appreciate it. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
And the nominees are What a Wine. Thanks, Vin. See you.
See you, Mikey. Thank you all for listening. We always appreciate it. Bye-bye.